Happy hobby. I'm David Gonos, and today is a very special podcast slash video episode. We're talking MLB prospects. We're talking Bowman first cards, and we're talking with our guy Patrick Imhoff. How you doing, Patrick?
Oh, I'm great, David. Thanks for having me. One of my favorite topics right here.
Fantastic. Oh, that's awesome. Card collectors, really, card collectors, a good card collection, I think you'd agree, is a card collection where you get a bunch of rookie cards of good players through the years, but also a handful of some good prospect cards that you think have a lot of good upside, right?
Oh, I agree. Something about prospect cards to me is it's intriguing. I enjoy watching baseball, and when you see that rookie come up in his first at bat, I like to go find a prospect card right away and be like, "How's his Bowman first?" Or even beforehand. Yeah,
Nice, nice. Yeah, you've written some articles for davidgonis.com, which is like, the top 10 prospects I think you did for 2024 Bowman baseball. No, Bowman draft. You
yeah,
already posted that up. That's one of our most popular articles past month or so. That's been super hot. So MLB.com, they finally released their top 100 baseball prospects, just right in line with that, with your article on the top 11 from, or top, I think it was top 11, was top 11 from
yeah. We always make
2024?
it an interesting number because it
Yeah.
it reads better.
Yeah, right. Who wants the top 10? That's just boring.
Yeah, too easy.
So this makes sense. So we'd have to talk to you, get your take on some of these prospects. We'll go through the difference between great MLB prospects and maybe great card collecting prospects. So what I have done, so once that article came out, MLB Pipeline put all the top 100 last week. This past weekend, I've worked on finding all of the Bowman first cards for those players and then putting my article up or our article up on davidgonis.com that lists all of them in order of baseball of MLB's ranking, and then what's a link out to their best or their first Bowman first. There's only one Bowman first for each player, so their
Yeah,
first Bowman first cards, and so it's easy to get to. You look at the prospects on MLB, and that's one thing, but to be able to jump right out to any of those cards, I try to make it a little easy for collectors. I do the same thing with baseball rookie cards, all the best rookie cards from the past 70 years. Make a list of that so people can just jump out. But so that's what we're going to talk about today is what are some of these great cards, some of these great prospects we're talking about. I want you to stay tuned to the end because we're also going to talk about 2026 prospects. We're prospecting prospects from a year from now, and that's going to be off of an article based on the dynastydugout.com. Chris Clegg posts awesome stuff, so we're going to look at that also. First, let's get into this a little bit. First, what's your take on what you value in a great baseball card collecting prospect?
yeah. So first off, the website you have, davidgonos.com, the tools on there for collectors are awesome. It is a great resource to be able to look at the top
Oh,
100
awesome!
list and see the eBay link in one spot. You don't got to have a typo in the name. So if you're a
Ugh,
collector, you need to be there using this. So
nice,
um,
thank you.
the biggest takeaway though that I kind of look at when I look at the top 100 list or any prospect list is one, I'm a Pirates fan, so I look for my Pirates. But for the
Makes
average
sense.
collector, where I look for value is I stay away from the top 10. The top 10 are usually pricing me out as the average collector, so I look through the whole list and you can filter those on MLB, and I look for guys that are the youngest age at the highest level. If I can find an 18-year-old in Double A,
Oh,
a
nice.
20-year-old playing in Triple A, they made it up pretty quickly, which gives them a little more time. They're a little bit younger, which is more collectability, more value. So, like I jotted some notes down, and I was looking for those guys, the 10 or so of them that are like, hey, they've got me interested because they're younger at a higher level.
Well, that makes sense, and you bring up a really good point, and it's the inverse as well, or the other way as well, where there may be players that are blowing up in the minors, but they're 24-year-olds playing with 21-year-olds. They've had extra season. They came out. They were 4 years of college. They played. They graduate. They get drafted. They get 2 years. They're still in the minors, and they're going up against 19 and 20-year-olds they should be blowing them away.
Yeah,
So
some of the pitchers, are still struggling at that league. And the other piece of it is what ballpark and what league are they playing in? Like I can look at the Pirates and I know that's a hitter friendly park. So the numbers they're a little inflated and they go to the next level and they decline and you go, okay, what's the real story here? So it's hard to know that for every team and every league, but the ones you pay attention to, you can figure out are the numbers a little bit false, if you will.
makes sense, makes sense. And a lot of times too, I know with fantasy writing back in the day, the best players often kind of settle in the double A spot. Triple A is obviously better, like it's supposed to be, but it's more advanced league. But oftentimes you'll find there's a lot of people that players that settle in AAA, and then they're kind of not really, they can't quite make it into the majors, and they're a little too old to be in AA. So a lot of times that AAA can be misleading, so to speak. So a lot
Yeah.
of times it's the AA. You'll see the top prospects; they'll hit AA, and then they'll eventually get called up, or have a quick stop at AAA, and then eventually get called up. But all right, so let's rock into this. The first number one prospect they have, I want to mention him because it's interesting. The number one guy is Roki Sasaki, who just signed with the Dodgers to complete they have a 10-man rotation now with just phenomenal players. But I want to mention him specifically. People are going nuts over this guy because he's just 23 years old, right-handed pitcher, plays for the world champion Dodgers. He's going to be helped by Yamamoto and Shohei Ohtani. He's going to get a lot. He's definitely set up for success here. And a lot of people say, "Oh man, this is the next big," but he is still a pitcher, unlike Ohtani, who had the hitter thing. People sometimes make that. Oh, this is the next Japanese superstar. Japanese superstar pitchers, though, it's not really the same. Pitchers in general, as you know, collecting wise, just aren't the same. We're not going to see a Paul Skeens. I was down on Paul Skeens last year as far as collecting pitchers, so maybe I don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not ready to jump on the pitcher hype yet. I mean, Paul Skeens is Paul Skeens and Shohei is Shohei, but for him in the number one spot, he is playing in LA. He does have a support system with two other Japanese players that should help him, and he's very marketable when you look at pro baseball in Japan and how that translates to the collectability. So
Very true.
his cards will go for a premium, and I doubt they'll even dip, even if he has a bad season. But if he has a great season, they'll skyrocket.
Yeah. Now, something too about Sasaki that we haven't talked about. We're talking about Bowman first cards. He does not yet have a Bowman first card because he wasn't signed, and he hasn't had his first game for the Dodgers. So why that's important is because when his Bowman first card does come out, that's also his rookie card. Bowman does. They'll do prospects, they do rookie cards, and they do veterans. The rookie cards usually generally aren't really that valuable because Topps has their rookie cards. A rookie card is really more of a Topps product. Bowman first, the prospect card, that's the bigger deal. But Sasaki, Shohei Ohtani, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, those guys, when they came over, their first Bowman card also is their rookie card or is a rookie card. So that's what we should be suspecting, I believe, out of Sasaki also.
Yeah, and I mean, if you want to get it, they'll go high fast. But if once his tops one comes out, the Bowman one will sell for a little bit cheaper. So if you're just looking to
Great
get
point.
one as a collector, I would wait a little bit.
Yeah, excellent point. Now maybe it's that's exactly the play is to wait until Tops comes out, which would be Top Series 2, I believe, for Sasaki. So once that comes out, those Bowman cards drop. You make a move then and maybe buy a nice numbered card, like a low numbered parallel of a Sasaki Bowman first.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So another thing we talk about too is MLB. When they talk about great prospects, they're talking about fielding, they're talking about their arms, a lot of things. Whereas collectors, we're not really as worried about. No, we need them to field well. We need them to be good enough to get to play, and we don't want them to be just DHs because that kind of seems to hurt them. Look at Jordan Alvarez; his card should be much higher in value, but he's just kind of just another guy. So that's something whenever you look at MLB pipeline and look at the top 100 prospects, you can click on the names and it'll give you their grades. If you see the grades are super high in fielding and throwing, but their power and their hit, it's a little lower, then it's probably not a super collectible player.
Yeah, and they'll usually tell you in there. I use that website a lot. I like the interface
They're
of it,
great.
MLB Pipeline. But what I like about it is it'll tell you they look at the fielding as a shortstop, and everybody plays shortstop in the minors, and they'll be like, yeah, he's probably going to move to second or third, and sometimes they'll say, hey, he's got the potential to stick at shortstop, and then I'm like, okay, if the hitting comes around, there's a guy that's at a premier position in the major leagues, and that's collectible. Major center fielder, shortstop. Those are the quarterbacks of baseball right there.
Oh yeah, well said, nicely said. And you mentioned that about the shortstops. I'll give you an interesting point because it's about the number 9 prospect on this list, Carson Williams of my Tampa Bay Rays. And the reason I point him out is he's a shortstop. The Rays are famous for versatility. They get guys playing at all different positions in the infield. They'll get guys that do some outfield, some infield. They'll get corners on both corners. They'll have guys at second and short, second and third, all over the place. Carson Williams, he has never played one inning outside of shortstop. They don't want to mess with him at all because he's one of the best defensive shortstops in the minors right now. So for collectors, that's good to know. This guy's a shortstop in the future. Like he's a future
Yeah,
shortstop.
I'm high on him too. I picked up his refractor last year. I've got it in my wait and see what he does. But a team like the
Nice.
Rays, they're just like the Pirates. We value versatility. Anybody can play anywhere, but that's not great for collectors. We have about 7 different third basemen that can play second baseman, and nobody's actually a dominant position right there. So
Right.
I look at it too. The team makes a difference in collectability. Dodgers. I look at the Dodgers and I go, I'm not looking at their prospects because they buy free agents, but
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Rays and the Royals and the Pirates and the Marlins because they're cheaper teams with the payroll, so they bring their guys up. So I look at that as a collectability thing. So your example about how the Rays are treating Carson Williams is perfect.
Yeah. I look at the Rays, for example, as their prospect list. Their best players I look at like future Yankees, future Red Sox, future guys that are going to sign big contracts somewhere else. But for now, they're with the Rays, so I'm excited about
Yeah,
that. Okay, so number
I hear you on that.
yeah, yeah, as a Pirates fan, right? Same thing, right? So the number 2 guy, Roman Anthony, outfielder for the Red Sox. He is our number 1 hit, or at least the number 1 hitter. His stuff came out in 2023 Bowman Chrome, and you and I have talked about, man, you can buy 2023 Bowman blasters all day long for like $20 on David Adams Card World. There's a lot of players from that checklist that's on this list.
Yeah, and I like that. I looked at the top 25 of the list right now, and they're all guys from earlier years, basically. So there's only one person I think in the top 10 that came from the 2024 draft, and that's Travis Bazana.
Yeah,
And in the whole top 25, there's only 4 of them, and most of them were 25, 24, 23, which means you can grab those blasters. They used to be selling the hobby light boxes for under $70 from 2022, I think, and there's a great chance to get a great prospect for really cheap and even a numbered parallel autograph. Those
I was gonna
blasters have
say,
autos a lot.
does the Hobby Light have an autograph?
The Hobby Light, when they were still making it, which they
Oh,
canceled it in 2022, had those
oh,
black and white ray wave refractors, but you could still pull an auto just like a blaster doesn't guarantee an auto, but you can still. I grabbed my Dylan Cruz auto out of a blaster box. So,
wow, oh, nice.
yeah.
Holy cow, I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
cool.
that's the one we got graded in your
Yeah,
video that came out of a
that's
blaster
awesome.
box for like $25.
Wow. Oh man, that's cool. That's cool. Okay, so the real quick, we've got Walker Jenkins, Dylan Cruz, 3 and 4 on this list. Dylan Cruz, big things ahead for him, and James Wood, with Washington Nationals. Matt Clark, outfielder for the Tigers. He's only 20 years old, so he's probably going to be a little bit before he joins the bigs. Christian Campbell's an interesting one, second base, shortstop, outfielder for the Red Sox. It sounds like they might be moving him up at some point this year. Do you know anything about
Yeah,
him?
he played. I was high on him last year when I saw him moving the system. I picked up his refractor for maybe $3, and it's selling
Wow.
for about 30 right now, which isn't a lot of money,
Oh,
but to us, it's like that's pretty cool.
that's
That's a
yeah,
good,
heck yeah,
great
that's
return.
what,
Yeah,
100%, 1,000%.
Yeah.
profit
But
right there.
I looked up his numbers. He played, I think, 19 games in AAA last year. So they gave him the bump at the end of the year, and he held his own.
Wow,
He batted around 280, he had a couple home runs, very low strikeouts, which is important at that level.
big key.
So they're high on him in their system, but their system is stacked in Boston right now
Yeah,
with Ron Anthony and him, and even Marcelo
Marcelo Mayer.
Meyer. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's still there. So yeah, he's very popular right now, Christian Campbell.
Now, I mentioned Marcelo Meyer. He's from the 2021 Bowman draft, Chrome. So there's a guy who you mentioned. If there's hobby lights that you could go back
Yeah.
and buy, maybe that's someone you could get an autograph of. So let's see, who else from this top 20 do you want to chat about?
The biggest ones I liked on there was, I mean, if you're in the top couple, was Walker Jenkins, because he's one of those guys from Minnesota. He's number 4, so he's a bit pricey, but he's 19 years old in Double A already, so he's one of those guys. The other one that I like, but I don't like as a collector, is Samuel Basella from the Orioles. He's one of those guys. I think you have an asterisk next to his name on your list because he
Mhm.
does not have a Bowman first card that isn't autographed, which means I've got no chance to get it. So that
Right.
bugs me about Bowman that they do that some years. Is they'll make the first card an auto card, and you got to get lucky.
Yeah, it looks like Kobe Mayo, the same thing with the Baltimore Orioles. He's going to be in Series One, top Series One. So maybe instead of going with his Bowman first, maybe you just move on to the
Yeah,
top Series One.
I accept the loss when I have to, and I just move on.
There you go. You
The
got
other
Bubba
name,
Chandler.
yeah, so that was the name I was going to mention. So Bubba Chandler, and I'll give you why I like him and who I'm going to buy instead. So Bubba Chandler, they look at Pittsburgh and they say you figured out how to develop pitchers. I don't know if I believe that. Paul Skeens didn't need us. He was going to come in and do what he did without our help. So Bubba
Yeah.
Chandler, he's looking great, but he's getting all the hype, so his prices are higher. But there's another guy on the list. It's in the 70s or 80s, Thomas Harrington, pitcher for the Pirates. He's in the top 100. He's got almost identical numbers to Bubba Chandler, but his
Oh
cards are
wow.
half the price. So they're both going to play for the Pirates this year, and it's just a matter of I look at Bubba Chandler. He's got a higher ceiling, but he might have a lower floor because he's a wild card still. He's very young and he played quarterback. And when we brought him up, he played infield and pitching. So he was doing the Shohei. Thomas Harrington's got a lower ceiling, but I think a higher floor. So he's a safer
Interesting.
bet in my mind. So
I
I'm
got you.
looking for his cards right now instead of Bubba Chandler because he's a little bit pricey.
Ah, nice, nice. So something on this list, you'll see there's guys in here with no Bowman firsts, like I mentioned with Sasaki. So some of these guys like JJ Weatherholt for the Cardinals, Kevin McGonigal for the Tigers, Charlie Condon. So Condon's a big deal. Like everybody's all over him because of his power. He's one of the most powerful sluggers in the minors right now. So he's someone maybe we look for in the next Bowman release.
Yeah, those are the guys. Bowman does it every year. They don't put all the top guys in Bowman draft. They want to spread it out so that the collectors will buy Bowman draft and Bowman baseball and Bowman chrome. So they usually save a couple guys that were top rankings and they'll push them into the next series they release so that there's a little bit of Bowman first everywhere. That drives me crazy, but it is the way they do it. So those are the guys they're going to highlight the next product from Bowman after draft comes out.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. All right, so let's just skip to give us some of the guys that you like later in the top 100 that you think are the bargain guys you want to hunt down.
So I'll give you 3 names that I like, and then one I really like, but the price is already going up, and you'll probably know him. Some of the later guys, Cooper Pratt for the Milwaukee Brewers. He's in Double A already, 21 years old. So he's still young age, high level, priced well. Cole Young for the Seattle Mariners, same boat. He's a shortstop, Double A, 21. Aiden Miller, Philadelphia Phillies. He's in Double A. He's 20. So those are guys, and then the
Yeah, we've
guy.
heard his name a couple years now.
Yeah,
That's a hot name for sure.
yeah. So, and the real guy that I think is really top notch for the Rangers organization is Sebastian Walcott. And his name is anywhere from a top 5 name to a top 20 name, depending on the checklist you're looking at for rankings. And he's only 18 and he's in Double A.
Oh
Um,
wow.
I was watching his prices. It was $10 for a basic Mojo refractor about a week ago, and I should have done it. I didn't, and I
Eh,
think it's going up because now the list came out.
yeah.
Um,
Well, you know what?
yeah,
I'll tell you what. It's interesting. Two things. First, if I'm not, if I'm, I might be mistaken, but I believe his Bowman first does not say Bowman first on it. Like it's one of those deals.
I don't. I think his does have first on it, but I know what you mean. There's a couple guys where their Bowman
Yeah.
first card doesn't say hasn't have the
Okay.
number
For some
one.
reason, I thought his. Okay.
Yeah, his
So,
does.
but yeah, sometimes
Uh,
they have them without
yeah.
the Bowman first part on it. The other thing I want to mention about his is what I mentioned earlier. So the dynastydugout.com. Did I cut you off? Was there
Nope.
more that you're
No. I
okay?
think we're going to the. Yeah, this is your transition.
So the dynastydugout.com, Chris Clegg, Clegg. He does every year apparently. This is the first time I saw it, but he does top 25 prospects who he believes will be the next year's top 25 prospects. So basically he looks at what we have now and projects that for a year. Like in other words, people get
Yeah.
promoted, maybe people drop off or whatever. So last year's list for this year, so in 2024 he wrote it for this 2025. He did pretty good. Number one, Dylan Cruz. That's not rocket
Yeah.
science. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty good. Cole Emerson, shortstop for the Mariners. Walker Jenkins, Roman Anthony, Ethan Salas, who he's a super young catcher that's kind of still working through. Catchers take longer, so that's
Yeah.
another reason why collectability wise they're not super collectible is because they do usually get to the majors a little later than their minor league counterparts
Yep.
or draft class counterparts, I should say. Samuel Basallo, Travis Bazana. So he had Bazana with Oregon State at this point still as the seventh best prospect for 2025. And I think he's 10th in MLB pipeline. So
Yeah. He's number 10.
that's pretty good. Nick Kurtz was with Wake Forest. He's number 8. He's got him. Joandry Vargas, shortstop for the Dodgers. Roderick Arias. So there's a few. Max Clark, 13th. So there's a few in there. He did pretty well. Some of those were, well, we're all going to guess that. But you also had to guess that they weren't going to be promoted early. So, that was a pretty good overall guess. You got to be right in the middle. Not you have to be really good, but not too good to get promoted that quick. Okay, so now this year, his list for 2026. Number one, Sebastian Walcott, who you just mentioned. So that's a
Yeah. No
good
surprise
call.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great call on your part. Travis Bazana, number two. JJ Weatherholt, who we mentioned earlier, doesn't have a Bowman first yet. Max Clark, Walker Jenkins, Jesus Made, Made. He's a shortstop for the Brewers. I don't have anything. I don't know much about him at all. 18
Nope.
years old. Um, Leodes DeVries, San Diego shortstop, 18 years old, and Jason Chorio, who you had mentioned before in our newsletter.
Yeah, I think he's number 60 right now, and I think Cleveland, the Guardians like him. They like his name. They like his pedigree. He got hurt last year at the end of the season, so that cut his season short. But I'll be watching him this year to see how well he starts off and if he moves up another level really quickly. So
Nice. Well, I'll tell you what.
who doesn't want two Choreos in Major League
I
Baseball?
was
So
just gonna say, when I was a kid, I'm old. When I was a kid, Cheerios were just Cheerios, and then one day they came out with Honey Nut Cheerios. The second Cheerio was much better than the first Cheerio. I'll just say that. I just
yeah, apple cinnamon now too, even better.
there you go. Right. Yes, Kevin McGonigal ninth, Samuel Basallo 10th, Bryce Eldridge, Zahir Hope. So he's got. You can look at the dynastydugout.com to find that list, but he did a great job on that. So I wanted to give him a shout out there. Um, all right, so yeah, I'll tell you what, that was fun. That was a fun look back, or a look ahead, or a look at present. I don't know how you'd say
Yeah,
that,
a little bit of
but I
both.
enjoyed that. We'll see. Maybe we'll see. Maybe we'll come up with a list of. We're still looking for rookies for Series Two. Would these guys? No, they'd have to have come up last year, right? But maybe Topps update. Maybe these guys that could come up in time for
Yeah.
Topps update. Do you know what's the date for that? They got to
I,
be up by.
I don't know that they follow specific rules because I can look at guys last year like Jared Jones made the Pirates out of training camp, so he was there on the opening day roster and he didn't show up to update series. But I think they spread it around a little bit and they're very flexible. So some of the
Gotcha.
guys, I think the guys that they know that are on the opening day roster and weren't surprises, they're going to be in series two. And the guys that surprised everybody, they might be an update series.
Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome, man. Tell you what, Patrick, I appreciate you joining us for that. We'll definitely have you on some more. We're going to do a hockey article podcast in a few, also pretty soon. So keep on the lookout for that. I just
Yep.
realized I had a hockey thing up for our prospects podcast slash video. But man, I appreciate you coming on. We'll do something again for sure. Keep up the good work, man. You're doing great. At Happy Hobbies, the sports cards newsletter, man, you're super active in the chat. I very much appreciate that. You always have stuff in our newsletters every week. So, man, I appreciate you. Do a great job.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. Like I think I mentioned in the comment the other day, you give us small time collectors a big voice on your channel. So if you guys aren't checking it out, you got to come in, join the club. It's a big family.
Awesome, awesome. Well, I appreciate that. Well, I'll tell you what, for the collectors out there, man, let us know what you think. Shoot us a comment in the chat on gonos.substack.com. That's where the newsletter is. Or you could go to the website, davidgonos.com. You can just shoot me an email at gonoscards@gmail.com. Whatever you do, just make sure you have a
Happy hobby.
nice